Thank you.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh my God! So, showing me shaking my head in my negative 19 feel after that Buffalo game where they all I can tell you is
Dolphins number one, baby.
Next up, baby.
Dolphins
Next
number
up.
one.
I swear, if a certain quarterback is mentioned in the comments, I got my beers ready. I'm gonna crack it open.
Or is it the
We
Serbian
got
kid?
the Serbian kid,
This looks done. Oh my god, it looks fantastic.
no, you beat man. Not a beat man.
Woo!
I'm the man. I said it, and it's reality. All right,
Congratulations.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk Fins Talk. I'm your host, Steve Malloy. And as always, joining me tonight is my co-host, Rob Mosley, a.k.a. Dolphin Thirsty. How you doing, Rob?
Can't complain, Steve. Can't complain. Happy to be here to talk Miami Dolphins football again.
All right, we got a great show tonight. And folks out there in the chat, please, if you would, please like, subscribe, share with your friends, your families, your neighbors. We're almost at 1,000, but we need your help. We couldn't do this show without you. So go ahead and hit that like button. Appreciate it. And also, remember, we may not always agree everything Dolphins, but there's one thing we can agree on is we are all Dolphins. All right. So let's get on with the show. So tonight, Rob, we're going to talk a little bit about the offensive line. Well, mainly about the offensive line. But leading up to that, before we talk about the offensive line, this is something that I mentioned maybe I think it was either last show or the show before that. But it was about the Trent Sherfield comments. And there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. And it's going to lead into the offensive line and basically kind of put things into perspective of why I am concerned about the offensive line. So Trent Sherfield, I think it was last week, he basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, that Tua, it's all timing. He's a spot passer, and if you're not in that spot, he's going to throw the ball anyway. All right. Everybody knows that the NFL is all timing, right? All offenses are timing, and the quarterbacks, timing to the wide receiver, to the tight end, to the running back. It's all based on timing. And spot passing as well, okay? What concerns me with Tua Tagovailoa is he will throw the ball anyway. And that's very concerning. And he's not and Trent Sherfield isn't the only one that said that. There's a couple of folks in his teammates in Alabama said the same thing. But the bottom line is, it's a problem. And Trent Sherfield kind of let the cat out of the bag if it wasn't already out of the bag. So just keep that in mind when we're talking about the offensive line. Now, we have a quarterback who plays 13 games a year. For the last 2 years, he's played 13 games each of those years. He's played 10 in his rookie year, of course, and he was hurt when we drafted him. But he was cleared by the doctors, so in his first year. So during that time frame, I think it was one of the games, maybe it might have been the 5th or 6th game of the season, he came in there and he played. He took over Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic, right? All right. So we got a quarterback that's injury prone. It's not a matter of if he's going to get hurt this year. It's a matter of when. So with that in mind, why in the hell is Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel satisfied with the O-line that they have presently, and especially bringing back Liam Eichenberg and Austin Jackson. Rob, what's your take on that?
Because it's the execution of the plan rather than the plan. The Dolphins have spent resources on the offensive line. You can go back to 2019. They drafted Dieter in the 3rd round. That's not that low of a round. He's not even signed under contract this year. Barely, inconsistent starter over the past couple of years. You go to 2020, within the first 4 rounds, they drafted 3 offensive linemen in the 2020 draft. They drafted the aforementioned Austin Jackson. And then they got Hunt, who seems to be a good performer. And then they got Kinley, who we all thought was going to be okay, but was just in the doghouse of Flores. But he didn't even make the team under McDaniel last year. But that's 3 draft picks in the 2020 draft.
Looks like your guest of honor is here, sirs. Gentlemen.
Right. So you got
All right.
3 picks in the 2020.
Rob, let me interrupt you real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest tonight, a surprise guest that's showing up. Go ahead and let him in. Bobby?
Yeah, TD, are you in there?
Yes, sir.
All
Hey,
right, TD's
TD.
in the audio, guys. Welcome to TD
All
Fence
righty.
Talk.
Welcome, TD. How you doing today?
I'm great. What's up, fellas? What's up, Rob?
Yeah, it's all good. Thank you for joining us, TD.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
TD, I'm just going to kind of give you a kind of a recap of what we're talking about, what I was talking about. I brought up the point about what the Trent Sherfield comments about how he said, that Tua's a spot passer and it's all timing, and if they're not in this, if the receiver's not in the spot, he's just going to throw it anyway. And so basically, I said that was very concerning, and then I brought up the injury history of Tua Tagovailoa. The last 3 years that he's played, the last 2 years he's played 13 games each of those years. He was hurt last year, of course, with the 3 concussions. And then I also brought up why in the hell is Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel satisfied going flea market shopping with the line that we presently have and bringing back Liam Eichenberg and Austin Jackson. And then I had Rob has been commenting on that. I'm going to let him finish, and then I'm going to have you give you the take on give you the honors of giving us your take on basically what I just said. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay, so I was going to say it's not from lack of trying. In 2019, they drafted Dieter, 3rd round. I consider anything 4th round and before that a pretty good draft pick. He hasn't worked out. Then in 2020, 3 offensive linemen within the first 4 rounds. So it's the execution of the plan more than the plan. They've tried to fix the offensive line. Then last off season, and then skip to the 21 draft. They trade up Eichenberg all the way up 10 spots, but they give up a 3rd round. So basically you're giving up I don't even think they had a probably to go get this kid. Who knows if you really had to trade up. So they trade up, give away a 3rd round pick in the next year's draft, in the 2022 draft. So here again, we're using resources on an offensive lineman. And then last off season, we signed Teron Armstead. The one knock on him, and the main reason he's available because, great free agents left tackles don't come on the market that often if there's not some issues, and he had an injury history. And boom, lo and behold, the man's tough as anything, but he still missed games at critical junctures. And then we also signed Williams. So, we have used the resources. I just think it's the execution of the plan. Yeah, this off season, it looks like we only signed Feeney, but we've already have so many resources tied up in other positions for big mega contracts that, this off season is kind of hard to put money into you're not going to get an all pro right tackle at the prices. I think we got $2 million on the book at this point, that we have. So it's tough. So I agree with everyone. The offensive line is a big issue, but it's not from my only thing is it's just from lack of execution of the plan. They've had the plan. They've tried to get good offensive linemen. It just hasn't worked out. So that's all. That's the only difference between you and I. You don't think they're trying enough to me. They've tried and they failed.
I think they've been utterly failure at it.
Right.
So
exactly.
TD,
Let
what's your
TD
take?
have his thoughts now.
Well, I definitely agree that they've tried, but the only emphasis that I care about is the fact that they failed. Chris Greer is paid the money that he's paid, and he's in the
Agreed.
position that he's in to get more right than he has, especially on that unit. What I've come to the conclusion of is that the Miami Dolphins are professional. They've become full-time gamblers. Okay? They become full-time gamblers. I want to ask you guys, do you know any full-time gamblers in your life?
No,
Uh,
I don't.
I'm not a gambler, so I try to stay away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do
don't
know. Yes, I do know. I had a brother-in-law that gambled some. He lost a lot. He won some, but he lost more than he won.
and you hit, and that's the point that I'm getting
Yeah.
at. All professional gamblers end up realizing they're going to lose more than they win.
Yes.
Okay,
That I
and
agree
Chris
with.
Greer is putting us in the business of gambling. Our entire roster is a gamble. Our entire, I mean, well, I've been told to stop speaking in absolutes. So 80% of our roster is a straight up gamble. You are not going to be a Super Bowl contender if 80% of your roster is a gamble. Teron Armstead is a gamble. Can he stay healthy?
Yep.
No, I
Connor
agree.
Williams is a
Yeah.
gamble. Can he play center at a high level where he's not the reason for the high snap for the big game or whatever it may be? I mean, Liam Eichenberg, we already know we're definitely gambling with bad odds. Austin Jackson, we're gambling, maybe a little better odds, but it's still gambling, and the house is still the favorite. At the end of the day, this is the entire roster, the entire tight end room. They gambled and drafted a tight end and Hunter Long to replace Mike Gesicki so they didn't have to franchise tag him. They admittedly failed because they franchise tagged Gesicki and didn't even use him. They also drafted Austin Jackson to not even have to get Teron Armstead. But
Yep.
that's the only reason Teron Armstead is here, because that was a failure over there. This whole roster is built this way. Xavier Howard, I said you should have traded him 3 years ago. If you watched the season last year, any real Dolphin fan is scratching your head. How did he make the Pro Bowl?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Everybody's scratching their head.
Yeah.
And Noah Igbenogany was supposed to be by Xavier Howard's replacement, actually.
Yeah.
And that failed. So you had to give him the money. That's why we had the contract issue with X, because they brought in his replacement, but the replacement didn't work out. This is the full roster. That's all it is. Jerome Baker finally had a decent season, more so due to tackling. But at the same token, every year has not played up to that contract except last year.
Yeah, yeah. I
No,
think
I
he's.
agree.
I think he's past his prime. I think we've seen the best of Xavier Howard. Hey, look, maybe Vic Fangio can disguise that in some way, maybe, because I know he'll play a little more zone or whatnot. But I don't know. And here's another thing. We talk, and I know we're going off the beaten path here a little bit, but you brought up the defense with Xavier Howard and about the defense and everything. So here's what I got to say. How in the hell is it? It's a gamble getting Vic Fangio. Sure, it's an educated gamble, I guess you could say, because he does have a great defensive mind and all that. But then if that's the case, then why are we getting David Long, who's injury prone, I might add? Why are we getting Jalen Ramsey and all these guys if he's the guru of the defense? Shouldn't he be?
It's the biggest pile of crap. Like Dolphin, Steve, you made the greatest point, and that's what I keep trying to tell people. You have to stop thinking that the Dolphins are doing good things when they're paying for it. Just because they pay for it. Where is the player development? Where is the good? Where are the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round draft picks that become starters?
Yeah.
That's player development. And you mean to tell me when you go get Vic Fangio, the quote unquote greatest defensive mind, then why do you have to pay for your defense? Now, don't get me wrong, everybody needs talent.
Sure.
Of course.
But you mean to tell me that Vic Fangio's job, making him the highest paid assistant coach, which is probably making more than McDaniels, You mean to tell me he can't develop the linebacking core? He can't get that young nucleus of corners who showed a few flashes to become starter material? You have to pay for it. And then
I
if our
agree. It's
defense, then if
poor
our
use
defense
of
gets better,
resources. I
then when our
agree.
defense gets better, we're gonna say, "Oh, Vic Fangio, is it?" Just like Mike McDaniel, the offense got better. Was it McDaniel or was it Tyreek and company?
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, we don't never put ourselves in situations where we can truly evaluate who's responsible for what. We always have a hiding factor or something covering something up. So it causes us to not know where to place the blame or the accolades, but we just make assumptions.
Yeah, I agree totally. Hey, folks in the chat, thank you for joining us tonight. I see you out there. Mr. Santos is out there. We got Lewis Jones in the house. Sky is the limit. He's in the house. Appreciates it. Evan, all you folks out there, we couldn't do this without you. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, your families, your neighbors. We love you all. I'm going to let you answer, Rob, what everything that TD said. What's your take on that? I know you're ready to say
Yeah, as
something.
far as for the gambling, I mean, it's true because a lot of the people, I mean, this offseason that we signed, David Long, he's good when healthy. Deshaun Elliott, he's good when healthy. You know, we got too many of those disclaimers on our players, just like Teron Armstead last year. Oh, he's really good when healthy, you know, and then unfortunately, that was Tua. It's not coming out of college. So we have a history of gambling on players with injury history, expecting that they're going to miraculously find a magic potion when they come to the South Florida and, you know, drink that magic water and they're not going to get injured anymore. So unfortunately, I agree on some of those things, but you know, it's just, that's where I think the gambling, they banked on some injury players. David Long is probably the best linebacker on our team right now. So
for sure.
Staying healthy. So, you know, it's just one of those things again. And I know that goes for every player, but sometimes this, you know, I know people debate that, oh, there's no such thing as injury prone. They just happen. But then some players do get injured more, no matter how, even in baseball that I follow, some players are always getting hurt, you know, and other players played 162 games. So it's just, I do believe some players are just, whether it's prone, bad luck, it just seems to be they're out. And it's just the Dolphins have put a lot of weight this year on, because we need Armstead to play. He's never played a full schedule in his NFL career, you know, and like you pointed out, Tua's never played a full schedule. David Long's missed a lot of time over the past couple of years. Deshaun Elliott he seemed to get a little better last year, but he had missed time over the years. So I agree on the gambling part, but I still have hope moving forward. This is a talented roster overall, and this is C, because at this point, you know, this is basically the team they're going to see some different draft moves, some post-June first cuts by other teams may be better than what we currently have on our roster at some spots. But yes, I agree that we've done gambling on the injury front for sure.
And the issue I have with that is, you know, if you want to hit the lottery, you got to hit all 6 numbers, right?
Correct.
And the Miami Dolphins, see, I never look at the Dolphins in the lens of the Dolphins. I look at the Dolphins compared to all teams. And how do we stack up? The issue I have is everybody plays the lottery, right? Like in the NFL, all teams are technically in the lottery, playing the lottery. But some teams already have 4 numbers, and all they're doing is hoping the other 2 hit. We always go in with 1 number and hoping the other 5 hit. And we don't understand the compounding odds of needing 5 versus 2. I mean, it's so much greater. It ain't just a 4-number different odd. No, it's millions of different combinations more than the other team needs. And that's why the Dolphins, man, and to have them quadruple down today just hurt my soul when they brought up Liam Eichenberg and Austin Jackson.
Yeah, I heard that. Yep. Yeah, I cringed. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? The propaganda is really getting heavy in that in those Twitter spaces with the Dolphins organization. I mean, they're just blowing smoke up people's butts, and people are just buying into it. I don't get it.
But that's our fan base. We allow it.
Yeah.
Well, we
Yeah,
all agree, though, Steve. We want them to win. So a lot of us are
of course.
optimistic. Listen, I'm 50, a little over 50. I'm not going to get my exact age. I'm 50 plus years old. So I'm not like you that's old enough to remember the Super Bowl wins, but
Watch it.
plenty old enough to remember the Super Bowl losses. So at this point, I have nothing but time. And, all I can say is I hope they eventually get it right, because they haven't had luck. Because sometimes you do need a little bit luck.
No doubt.
But here's the thing: we go into every season needing too much luck.
Right, exactly. That's the difference. You can't have too much luck.
Yeah.
But, I always try to stay positive as much as I can. But yes, years of 20 plus years, like I say, I got a son that was born, went through the school systems, now in his second years of University of Florida. And in all that time, he has not seen one Dolphin win a playoff game, let alone the Super Bowl or get to an AFC championship. And only barely made the playoffs a couple of years here and there where we just get in and one and done. So it's hard to stay positive, but I try to stay positive because what else am I going to do at this point in the season? I leave the negativity to the season when we start losing. So I try to be positive. Evan, I know Evan pointed out, why are you Dolphin fans if you have nothing nice to say? There's plenty nice to say. I do like my Dolphins. It's just, it's hard to disagree with someone saying that they're gambling on injured players. They're gambling on injured players. And with this hope that gamble eventually we hit, every so often the poor guy wins a lottery. So, you just have to hope at this point. What can I say?
Yeah.
I try to be positive. But after all those years of rooting for them and been watching Dan Marino, I got to see every game, went to season tickets during the Marino years. One of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen play, but we didn't even win a Super Bowl. So, I've been through a lot as a Dolphin fan, so I'm allowed to get down a little bit on them at times.
Absolutely. And I've been a fan since 1969. I used to live in Miami, and I attended every single game the 1972 season. Well, prior to that, I had season tickets from 1970 all the way through 77, 78, right before I went into the military. My dad and I used to see the games and everything. So I did get to see them win the Super Bowl. I did get to see them in the undefeated season. But you know what? It's so long ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's so long ago. I just have little segments of those games that they played.
Here's the 50th anniversary of the last Super Bowl. Last year was the 50th anniversary of the perfect season. So, Super Bowl win, because like I said, we made it in the 80s.
So the point is, I have a taste of that. I want more.
See,
I want more. It's been 50 years. It's been over 50 years, and
I don't even have the taste. I don't even have the taste. So
I hear you. Hey, TD, I'm really happy that you joined us tonight. I know you are a busy guy, and I enjoy watching your show. I try to catch it live as often as I can, and I really like it because you're fair, you're honest. You give the good, the bad, the ugly. You don't sugarcoat anything. And I love the all 22 when you bring up the all 22 and we gets to watch all the highlights and things like that. I've learned so much just watching those highlights on all 22 and then comparing them with the PFF, like you've suggested. That's what I suggest folks do is they look at the PFF scores our ratings is not the end all be all, but it does give you an indicator of a person's production and what he's done on the field. And just to bring that, since I brought that up, I'm going to go ahead. I got a list of the offensive line here. Some of the PFF scores, and I'm going to go over them real quick here. Starting with our offensive line. And then after that, we'll get into a little bit about, I wanted to ask you, both you guys on the defensive coordinators of the other teams that are preparing for this team for next year. So here we go. Armstead, he, of course, he didn't play a full season, but his grade was 77.5.
Which is down for him.
Yes, which is down for him for an elite player that he is. Although last year he did not. Last year he got pushed around a lot, and I understand he was hurt, and that's another thing.
It was after that injury.
Yeah, it was after that injury. But here's another thing: people don't realize or forget that he had a season-ending injury, and he continued to push through and play out. What is he going to do this year? You know, so you got to.
What people need to realize as well, sometimes these guys are on their way down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a possibility as well, but nobody, being positive, nobody would dare talk about that. But yeah,
he could be on the decline. Then we got from the flea market, we got Jerron Christian, 6-year veteran. He had 46.0 PFF. Of course, he didn't have a lot of reps last year. Then you've got the famous Eichenberg, who, look, I've had enough sample size to see what he can do. And his PFF score was 39. And he had over 600 snaps or more last year. 39. And then we have Dan Feeney, the guy with the famous pompadour or whatever you call it. He's a 7-year veteran, another backup, really, although he has some starting time in. His is 51. Then you've got Austin Jackson, 4-year starter. I got enough sample size of him, and then he was hurt last year, right? So what's he going to do this year? You know what I mean? I mean, he lost all that year of development. 50. He's another one at 57. Then we got who I like, Robert Jones. I think Robert Jones would be pretty good at left guard. I really do. I think he will improve but who knows? But he was 62. But he played solid throughout the year. I thought he did, my opinion. Then you got Kendall Lamb, who's got 8 years of experience. He was 67, but he didn't have a lot of snaps either. Of course, Keon Smith is a 1-year veteran. I guess this would be his 2nd year. Incomplete because he didn't play any at all. Connor Williams. Connor Williams was a solid center for us. He played well. Of course, the high snaps could. And look, you saw what happened in the game against the Jets. He had a high snap and went like 50 yards past Skylar Thompson. So, yes, that could be a problem. Although he did play better at center than he does at guard. He was ranked 5th. But anyway, his score was 78. Then we got Hunt. It was a solid 73 for right guard. Solid for us. 3-year veteran. Brandon Shell. I don't even know if they're going to bring him back. I know he's a little on the older side. He's 32. He played 7 years. He was 64 on the right tackle slot when he played. So those are your PFF scores. And before you came on, TD, we were talking and Rob and I, of course, and I know he doesn't want to hear this, and he said that we're beating a dead horse when we're talking about Tua, and then I said, well, we wouldn't beat a dead horse about Tua if he would, reach the expectations that we would like to see from a good quarterback, from a starting quarterback. So, as our famous producer, founder Bobby Melendez says, what have you done for me lately? And Tua's last 5 games, basically he was 1-4. He had 83 completions, 152 attempts. His passing percentage was 54. 1,253 yards, 7 TDs, 5 interceptions, and he had a rating of 84.4. So what have you done for me lately? I had a whole show back in November, I think it was, before the big December run. And I told everybody on here on the show, I said, Tua, show me the money. Show me the money. Change my mind. Don't crap the bed. What did he do? So what have you done for me lately? So with that in mind, TD and Rob, with the present offensive line that we have sitting now, and we do have a talented roster, I'm very disappointed, very concerned about this offensive line. And with the comments that Trent Sherfield said, kind of letting the cat out of the bag, although I think the cat was already out of the bag. What is your take on what do you think, TD, I'll ask you first, and our time is getting short. What do you think defensive coordinators are preparing for or doing this year for playing against the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa?
They're simply going into the game, going to look at the film of the games he struggled in. And the interesting part is you saw 3 different ways to stop him. One was take away the middle of the field. 2 was basically bracket Tyreek and Waddle. And number 3, get physical with Tyreek and Waddle at the line of scrimmage. It's a shame that you don't even have to attack the quarterback to take him away. That should tell you all you need to know, because you take away those options for him, he doesn't know what to do with the ball. You watch the all-22 film, the checkdowns are there. You know, the opportunities are still there. It's just his decision-making, which I hope they work on this all season. But
I do too, yeah.
I'm more concerned about the O-line, man, than Tua.
Me too.
Because we can manage a game with Tua, but the O-line – see, the biggest part about the O-line is – forget the fact that Jackson can't stay healthy, Eichenberg's a problem, and Armstead can't stay healthy. How long can you even bank on Hunt and Connor staying healthy? All offensive linemen, at some point get banged up.
Yeah.
We were very fortunate with those 2 guys, but just thinking about if one of them went down, imagine Connor going down, Armstead having his normal injuries, and Eichenberg and Jackson not improving. Goodbye.
I don't even want to think about that. But TD, thank you for that take. Rob, real quick, give me that your take on that, and then we'll have to cut off and say goodbye to everyone.
Yep. Well, hopefully McDaniel, he learns as a rookie coach, doesn't abandon the running game, because if you look at that Buffalo game, the regular season game up there, we were running the football, and then inexplicably we just stopped running the football and went away from it. Mozart was mowing them down. So hopefully he learns a little more. If something starts working and the running game gets to be more of a threat,
good point, Rob.
They're going to have to start honoring that, and that will help out everyone. So, and of course, the offensive line, what am I going to say? We need help, and we need healthy bodies on the offensive line. So, great. I mean, nothing else to say there. I think everyone on Dolphins Twitter will agree the offensive line needs help.
Yep, I agree. Thank you very much for that comment, Rob. Very good points. I didn't even bring up. That's another story for another day, though, the running game. But TD, I want to thank you again so very much for you coming on tonight. I know you're busy again. Where can people reach you real quick, and then we got to say goodbye?
TD Fans Talk, just come on, check me out sometime. And thanks for having me, man. Next time I'll have to come on and cam up, man. I'm just a little busy right now with the kids.
I got you. I understand. No problem.
All right.
Thanks
thank
again,
you,
man.
TD.
Yeah,
all
thank
right,
you.
Fellas. All right, Rob. Nice meeting you, bro.
All right. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Fins up.
Fins up.
Remember, everybody, Dolphins #1, baby. Dolphins #1. Where's Rob?
And Bobby.